Architecture has its place in the concrete world. This is where it exists. This is where it makes its statement. I'm architect Karan Anand, introducing you to Season 3, Episode 2 of Moñö Architecture, All Things Design. Brought to you by brand partners Highbeck, Kitchen Studio and Turquoise. Today, I'm incredibly excited to introduce you to Sonam Gala Gosalia of Kiran Gala Associates and Samir Wadekar, two such individuals who have made their statement in concrete. I'm so excited to have you guys here.
Thank you for having us.
Like insane. Hi, this is Samir Wadekar. I'm an interior stylist and decorator, and I'm happy to be here chatting with these two fun people.
Hi, I'm Sonam Gala Gosalia from Kiran Gala Associates, and I'm looking forward to this exciting conversation for the next 2 hours, I suppose.
Okay, guys. So before we talk about design and styling and life and all of that, you both have a history. You all have grown up together, and I want you all to romanticize this a little bit and tell me about what this journey has been before you all have reached where you all are in your careers today.
I'm gonna speak first.
Sure.
So we were, we've studied in Raffles, this institute in Bombay. But it was a nice one, I think.
I think 15 years back.
Yeah. Okay, so then he's actually a junior, and we had separate classes. I was in interior designing.
Apart.
And yeah, a year apart. And he was in product. We were in separate classes opposite each other. And
both our departments were on one floor with a shared corridor.
Sure.
Just to give context in an architectural way.
Yes.
And both of us were in different batches and classes, and I don't think we ever had a single class together.
Yeah.
But it was a shared common space of sorts.
And I think we have one of those visits, factory visits or something, and he chose to come with us to that Great Eastern Home.
True.
He was the only one from some other class to come and join us. And I remember I told one of my friends, what is this guy doing here all alone? And I was like, he chose to come alone, first of all.
I just thought it would be interesting to come along. And
yeah, but it's like have you have your own class of people and suddenly...
Addressing you as a creep in her mind.
No, I would have completely believed this. She calls everybody a creep, and
wow.
As somebody very cleverly commented the other day, Sonam is always smiling, but you don't know what she's thinking.
She's got that. You've got the smiling. Oh, I'm worried now. She's always smiling. When
So
I'm
yeah,
around.
you don't know what's on her mind. I do, but very few people do.
Well, but I think we kept meeting, and we sat in the car that day that's what I was getting at, He's the only person who I know who had this jazz playlist going on in the Santro car. He doesn't know how to drive.
Way back when.
Yeah,
that was my first car.
It was, like you listen to certain music, but you don't know who listens to this kind of a music. And then suddenly I was like, wow, I've met somebody who's kind of similar. Obviously, I'm not him. And
similar taste.
Yeah.
Like her passport for a computer was Pegasus.
Yeah.
Which not many people know about.
Thank you. I could still be a password for something.
It could be Pegasus 123.
I'll have to change it now.
So, and not many people know about the mythical creature, and these are these small nuances that we had these shared interests of sorts, like from music to culture to art, travel.
Yeah, so our friendship is mostly very cultural, very
shared interests.
Yeah. Like LPs, he came that day, I think he shuffled through the entire LP and arranged it chronologically.
Because they have a lovely collection of LPs, vinyls, and whenever I go over, we listen to records.
Yeah.
But it was in complete disarray. So I organized it by genre and alphabetical. Then I made smaller cards with the alphabets so that
it's like your own filing cupboard. designed by some...
It's over, I think, 100, 200 LPs. So it's very difficult to find that one vinyl that you want to listen to. And it's interesting, once I'd gone over to a home and nobody was there.
Yeah.
It was just the son was having lunch, and I noticed that the LPs were out of reach. Like I had to stand on a chair to reach them. So I reshuffled her whole bookshelf and got them at a lower level. So it was a lot more conducive for
He
people
does that.
to
So if
pull
anyone
them
needs
out.
spring cleaning or your
Just call
house to
him.
look good, just call him over.
Yeah.
Don't be there at your house for 2 hours.
Even if you're there, it's fine.
Yeah, but it's better if you're
helping
not
hand.
there.
You
Other-
judge while you arrange stuff.
See, the thing is, for me, I have to judge. If I
Yeah.
don't judge,
then you can't improve.
then I can't do
Yeah.
my job.
Fair enough.
If I enter space, I'm like, oh, it's nice. You be you, and this is
Yeah.
how it's up to you. If you
Yeah.
find this interesting, it's perfectly
It's
fine.
up to you, yeah.
I cannot do that. I have to judge everything all the time, and that's how you develop your taste.
You both are
That's
giving
how
me,
you.
Anxiety now because
Why?
she's smiling and you're saying you judge everything. So now I'm like,
I judge everything, not everyone. That there's a big difference. Like
Okay.
I draw a line at people,
yeah,
and
I don't believe that.
because
For one, I do not believe that, but
Me neither.
it's far easier
Yeah.
to change a bookshelf than a person.
yeah, you can't. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't. There's
You
no,
can't.
you can't attempt to
Yeah.
also, honestly.
And I just want, when I enter a space, I usually look at how to make it better.
Yeah, he needs
And,
order, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's the best part about having a personal space. Like their home is very personal. They have a LP collection, art collection,
Yeah.
where you have these things that you have collected over the years and memories and moments. Like there are many things that I walk around at their home and I can tell, like, this is from this was a gift that I had
Yeah.
given, or we got this made.
Travel.
But then you just have to
know-hows.
display them in a way that they
Yeah.
shine as well.
Yeah.
So that is why I have to be judgmental. Hasana has a fantastic memory. Even the other day, I think he's 5.
Yeah, it's fine.
He came, I'd gone over for dinner the other day, and I was picking out an LP, and he's asked to play a specific band, like a classic rock band.
Wow.
So his
think
knowledge of
AC/DC, I
music,
think?
I think AC/DC.
Oh, Oasis.
So his-
Your 5-year-old
no.
asked.
Oasis. And
Oasis.
obviously, because it wasn't organized alphabetically, I couldn't find
Yeah.
Oasis.
Your 5-year-old knows Noel Gallagher. That's
He has a great tutor in his father,
Yeah.
who has trained him or taught him well on
Yeah.
classic rock and music.
wow.
And as I said, like, all of us have shared interests and tastes. So he remarked, you had arranged the bookshelf the last time you had come, you got the LPs down. And this was months ago, months.
Yeah.
But he still remembers this thing.
I think the act of functionality, the act of your daily activities or something, and honestly, if you notice how you move about your own space or how you live, if you know exactly what that is, and then you probably design a house or design something or have someone to move things and shift things based on that according to your own convenience, it actually makes a lot of difference. It's exactly what he's saying, like a 5-year-old coming and noticing and remembering something like that. It kind of makes it more, like a
You
daily
develop
practice.
basis your experiences, right? Especially at that age.
Yeah, but I think for us also, like, I think you learn from every age.
Exactly,
I think. Like even a 60-year-old would
Fair enough.
probably notice something that you've done.
I think
You
based on
know.
what she's saying, there's a trigger to everything. You have
Yeah.
a starting point. For him to know Oasis, he has to know about a different band before, then another one, then another one, then like a sheet of music that just goes on playing. But then you need that sort of seed of thought
Yeah.
that will
Yeah.
push you down a path that you don't really expect. But having that kind of interest in, say, music, you need to start from somewhere.
Yeah.
But most of us, whatever our shared interests are, as of today, they started off decades ago, in fact. And we chose to develop them by...
Yeah.
Remember, we used to always joke when Sonam was studying in UK and I used to visit. We always had a list of museums to visit and galleries to visit. And a lot of people our age back then, in your teens and early 20s, they had
Different interests.
like clubs and pubs
Yeah.
and...
We barely did that. I mean, I
barely
don't
did
ever
that.
remember drinking back then.
We barely did that. It was mostly about different cultural
absorbing how much ever was given, I think. And we still go to NCPA, we still go to listen to jazz
and Western classical, and
we love reading.
That
Harry
is true.
Potter, you remember? I think we went to that question thing.
There was a quiz recently that I'm like a bunch of 30-year-olds going for that. Was also quite
I think
funny.
it's absolutely appropriate because I'm the same. So if anyone judges me, I'm just like, get lost.
Yeah. I think that's key, like finding people that have shared interests that will help you grow your shared interests, not only for you to be in your own silo. And say I've got friends that I've introduced her to, she has introduced me to her set of friends who we have these shared interests and having these conversations, and you exchange thoughts and opinions where you have so much to learn from somebody else. But if you surround yourself with, say, a certain kind of age group, I think that's counterproductive. I remember I was discussing with Aisha, who you have spoken to earlier, that I'm meeting a few friends for dinner, and then she was just asking a few questions, and I said, they're in their 70s. She said, your friends in their 70s? I said, actually I've never really thought about it from that point of view. But I do have dear friends in their 70s, which is quite lovely, I feel, and you've got so much to learn from them.
That's one thing.
They also say that we have so much to learn from you. But you have to be a bit open to being friendly with as many different people as possible.
And asking the right questions, showing interest. These are very two important things.
You should never lose that childhood enthusiasm and that thirst
and there's
for
so much growth to be had, right? From every human being has an entire suitcase full of experiences, and if you're 70 years old, forget being 70, 30, 20,
any age,
there are so many varied experiences, and if you have a conversation, people are just waiting to share, right? And it just makes everything so much nicer.
And it's about lived experience, right? Like you have something to share, provided you have been through something or you've experienced something, is when you actually talk about something, right? It's wonderful to have someone who can at least narrate things to you, and you remember those conversations, that's very important.
It's lovely. It's great that you'll have this chemistry and you'll learn from each other, which is extremely, extremely important and rare, truth be told, because nobody does it in today's day and age. We have focus of a cat. The whole point of why we have reels instead of videos now.
True.
So that's very interesting. Thank you guys for that lovely insight. I want to talk to you all about a little bit about your education. So you studied product and you were studying design, right? Interior architecture basically. And your father is Kiran Gala, who's one of the most renowned architects and designers in the country right now. And Sam, you studied product and you had no link to interior design and then becoming an interior stylist. So they're very varied journeys that you both have, and yet both of you are here sitting next to each other having this conversation with me. So could we talk a little bit about this, and if you could help us understand how you reached this point?
So for me, it was a no-brainer, honestly. Since first standard, I think I had my small board that I was sketching. Dad's office was in the garage. So I wouldn't even go home. I would go directly to his office, start sketching, making plans.
Your dad had a garage office?
Yeah. He started with 3 people before. It just came to me. It's exactly what we were talking about. I think you were probably growing up with something and you see these things. It's always been like that. Like for me, accounts and numbers is zero. If somebody will tell me my husband's and I'll be okay, I don't know what you're talking about. I feel like I'm so stupid in that area. But when it comes to design, I think there's this pure passion which pushes me. And I think seeing dad like that, I always feel like I want to not be better than him, but just to be like him. Push myself so much wherein he could be proud of me. Maybe he's proud of me right now, but anyway.
Of course, your work is phenomenal.
But
even if it was not your dad, he's going to be proud of you.
No, but that unbiased opinion, He still shouts at me. Just recently we went on site and he's like, do you not account for any, expenses on the site? What is this expensive thing that you're using? I went what are you talking about? I've obviously gotten approval, and he'd be like, no, what is this? And he lectured me on the whole thing. But, it's great because you're still learning, and he's always kept it very a basic for me. He'll actually keep that space open for me to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Like, you learn from your mistakes. He'll
He gives
never
you freedom.
spoon feed me.
Yeah.
He'll never do this own thing.
That's amazing.
So he's given me that opportunity to have my own space. I have my own office space. I'm really lucky that he, agreed to do it. It's closer to my house. I save time on travel. Helps me a lot. I save on that 2 hours. And honestly, I'm here because of him. And I just want to make it better.
Yeah.
And let's see where it takes me eventually.
So in product design, actually, it was a very in-depth course on the different aspects of product, where I studied lighting design, furniture design, automobile, electrical, and I always gravitated towards furniture and lighting. Even my major, what was it called? Major thesis was on furniture design, where I made a piece of furniture. It even won a furniture design award.
Wow.
And I always found joy in the 3D and like the objects. And my journey into styling was just happenstance. I didn't expect it. And if I had to draw a line from today to back then, I can. But I wouldn't have been able to draw that same line from back then to today. Where you have that path of sorts in your mind that I'm going to do this and it will result into this and that. I think with Sonam it was a lot easier because of that, because of the existing firm that she knew that she would join. Then there is a gradual growth. But for me it was very different. I didn't know what to expect or what was destined to be frank. And in college, I had a internship with a magazine in Bombay. And once that was done, I went to Singapore to study. And when I came back, I wasn't sure on what to do. Was it product or interiors?
I remember you were unemployed for a year or 6 months or something.
I think 6 months.
And then I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Do something, do something. And he would just be like,
I'm thinking, let me figure it out, like those 6 months.
Also, there are no courses that teach you interior styling, especially in
interior styling wasn't really a thing.
it was not.
It wasn't, and you have to understand this was pretty much in a time when people had Blackberries. There wasn't WhatsApp. If you had to go and take pictures of a space, you had to go with your camera, not your phone. Technology wasn't what it is today. There was no Instagram. There was Facebook was very nascent.
Yeah. Orkut was just ending. I think it was just leaving the building at that point in time.
Yeah.
But you understand, like the time or that spirit of the time was very different from what it is today or what we know of it today. And there was no Pinterest. I don't think even Pinterest was it was a major
It was just
thing.
magazines.
Just magazines and books and like tangible objects where you got your knowledge from or your inspiration from. And that's when I bumped into an ex-colleague at in a pub, incidentally. And she asked me, what are you doing? I said, nothing, I'm just figuring it out. And she said, why don't you come and do an internship with Architectural Digest? And she was working with Condé Nast Traveler back then, which is a sister publication. I said, okay, fine. And I went for a 3-month internship, which turned into a consultation gig for a few months. Then I got hired as a permanent employee of Condé Nast. And then I just ended up being there for almost 8 years. I didn't expect to be there for such a long time. But the whole concept of styling as a profession also changed in that period. Because when I was with the magazine, it was more about set design, where I had to create, say, a living room, a dining room, a home.
Impermanent
in a temporary space in a set. And the way it's done is you have to create these specific rooms or spaces in a short period of time. You just have like a day where you're given a blank wall, a blank floor, and you have to put the rug, the furniture, the art, the ambient lighting to create a mood in a matter of an hour or two, because the photographer will take time to capture the image, and the entire set will be cleared and you will do a different setup on that same stage. And all of this has to be done in an hour and earlier, as I said, that you have to be judgmental or you have to have like an opinion.
An eye for...
That helped me, trained me, and made me a lot faster.
And I think everyone expects you to be judgmental, right? Because if you're not judgmental, who's going to be? You can't walk into space and be like, oh, this is great, let's just leave it as
I always
is.
tell people that I am unbiased.
Yeah.
I'm not biased. I don't have any biases in terms of an aesthetic. I'm honest. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And that training I got at AD because not only because due to the set designing role, but as well as visiting some of the most brilliant houses for styling those spaces.
Yeah.
So when it comes to a set design, you have an empty wall and an empty floor, and you have to populate it with things from around the country or around the city, where you can't have everything which is cookie cutter from one store. In magazines, you have to credit the pieces that are there in an image. So the table has to be from one place, the books have to be from one place, the vase, the sculpture, the side table, the chair, the sofa, everything had to be different.
Yeah.
So in that way, it trained me on how to curate a look where a specific room has, say, 20 things from 20 different places. Yeah. So that was one great aspect of set designing.
Yeah. But also it should have depth, right?
And have depth, have a story. It has, that layering has to be there, because it's translating a 3D space into a 2D image, which is what you learn when you're at a magazine. Because a lot of people, you enter a space and you're like, oh, this is beautiful. Yeah. But in a photo or an image, it's completely different. It might look too empty or too cluttered. And just the perception of translating those two worlds is where I come in and I sort of bridge that gap. And the second aspect was, because of AD, I had to go to different houses and style the spaces with what was there. Yeah. I didn't need to carry even a pencil, but it was the repositioning of the furniture, the objects, the pieces, to make the space look more cohesive for an image. And I learned from other people, like my editors, who are very different from each other. And the photographers that I was working with, they give you a different perception and an outlook on how things are supposed to be. So I think pretty much everything that I've learned is from other people.
That's amazing.
And those conversations. So one editor was a lady from who has roots in South India. So learned a lot about antiques and Indian, incorporating Indian culture into a home from her. The other editor was from England. So I learned a lot about European influences. So both these people who I worked with for almost a decade at two different stages trained me to have a very different outlook on interiors and spaces and aesthetics. And as she said, the same thing, like one thing leads to the next and the next and the next.
And now you're here.
And now I'm here chatting with the two of you.
Yeah, I think conversation is the only thing that connects people. And
and when he said
the same thing, like even at AD, like having conversations with those editors, with the people around you, with the people you meet, and the brands, the homeowners, that's what teaches you. And that, I don't want to use a word like networking, but in a way that is what it is. You're having a conversation with somebody, having a presence known and felt, where you're not just standing and coming and doing your job and like leaving. That's not what this creative world is about. Yeah, I'm sure you have also noticed that, or from your journey, where
like you make an impression, right?
Your practice grows if you grow as a person, like mentally or visually or in terms of aesthetics. Yeah.
Also, when he talks about learning on set or on site or with people, after you studied interior architecture, I mean, it's a college, you have a course and all of that, but I mean, I've studied architecture as well, and when you get out of that course, right, and you kind of hit a site and you're right there, and even though your father was a designer and is a designer, when you are on site yourself, did you feel like I've not learned any of this and now I need to...
No, but that's what the thing is. During handovers, I used to go with dad. Like,
so you already knew what was expected.
I knew all the people, I knew all the carpenters, I knew all the painters who are still with us right now. The contractors, amazing. It's literally, for me, it's home. I know.
So growing up, it's been
It's been like this. Like for me, like handover time, I know for a week who would be on site till 2 o'clock. So we would go, mom and me would go, she'd take me, we would take dinner for people.
I thought I'm the only one doing that.
No, I mean, it's very like having tea from that thing, eating with everyone. It's been a practice throughout. So I've never felt new when I do something or when I go on site. It's just casual, you know. I mean, I feel when I don't go is when I feel like, why haven't I gone? You know, I really think I need to go, and I sit there for hours.
That's amazing.
Is when you get to learn a thing or two as well.
Like in Sonam's case, her training started without her realizing that was a training, which I think helped her.
You've got those layers of experience before you even got into becoming a designer.
Because the conversations were such, like the civil guy, everyone's like family for me. Like my dad. They would come home, talk about like the marble names. I knew about it before I even knew about other things.
Because when I went to site for the first time, like on my own site, I was just like, Katkona, Jhari, Sandha. I was like, what is this guy saying? I didn't even know what a DB was. I didn't know what a single phase, 3-phase was. After 5 years and after 2 internships, I was just like, so I would just be like, single phase, yes. But I mean, everyone has their own journey. That's amazing. You both have studied art intensively and you all love it, you all practice it, and you actually understand what it's all about, right? And in our country, understanding art and then creating and curating spaces or designs or styling it around movement or a theory is near impossible to find. It's always basis reference, and no offense to anyone, it is just the way we have been exposed to a certain culture, right? And I want you all to tell us about how an individual could study about art, why it's important, how the history, the relevance is important to a design, and how it makes it a certain space rather than just a generic Pinterest image that you've kind of derived and replicated.
So honestly, what is missing in our country and why we don't have so much passion for our own art and our culture, I would really blame it on all the museums that we have, and probably that culture is not there in school. Maybe right now they've kind of incorporated. Because I remember whenever I go to any European museum, I always see children coming in packs, they're sitting in front of the painting, they're sketching their own version of what they think the painting is about. And that becomes a part of their learning, like a subject. Like art, history, culture is taught. I don't remember in my school we ever being taught about Hussain or Raza or you know, anything. And then in college, in fact in Raffles only, we had a whole sort of thing about art where we learned about European and a lot of American and Indian artists as well. It was a subject, like it was a theory, like art theory was a subject where we were taught apart from other things. And I feel like everyone should have that sort of a curriculum in their schools, colleges. Also, it comes from your own background. Like my father he loves collecting art.
He's a curator.
So you know, it comes from there as well. Whenever you walk around a place, a city, a country, whenever, like I think it's us that we always visit museum. We are always one of those people who take the, you know, the recorders and stand in front of every painting, hear what it has to talk about, learn a few things or two about a painting, whether you like it or no. But it should probably come from before, and then maybe the culture will change. Because I know when I'm designing a lot of houses for clients, there'll be only like 2% of them who will actually be like, you know what, I want to invest in art. A lot of people will be like, you know, I don't understand art. I don't think I want to spend money on it. I'm okay to spend money for marble. I'm okay to spend money on, you know, furniture. But what is art? I don't understand. But whatever you want to do. And I feel like that's the only thing that can connect with you. When you come home and you look at a piece of painting, you feel like you've come home. You know, it maybe humbles you. It probably pushes you back to your growth. Exactly, you know, it kind of gives you some sort of confidence, I feel. That's what I think art is for me. And I feel it should grow, or it's growing in some direction. But I'll always kind of push people to understand and invest more in art. We invest a lot in art, but what are your...
I think when it comes to art or design or anything creative, it may even be fashion for example. You learn through experiences. You learn through buying something first, experiencing it, and then living with it, and then you buy something else and something else and something else. We all have something that, when it comes to art, you look back and you wonder what were you thinking or why did you buy. You do make mistakes when you're buying art as well, or your choices or your likes at a particular point of time. We all like different things or appreciate or are gravitating towards different aspects today as compared to maybe 15 years ago. Because our exposure was honestly towards more Western or classical art. You learned about Renoir and Monet and Chagall and all these artists in college. But as Sonam said, you were not learning about Hussein or Souza, Raza or Taya Mehta or Raja Ravi Verma or even Amrita Shergill.
It's the same with literature as well, right?
It's the same. It's a very
such beautiful
Western, I think it's a very Western perspective in our education system, in a colleges or school. You learn about Shakespeare way before you learn about Indian authors. If you ask an average school-going child how many Indian authors can they name or Indian classical music.
Like Tagore has such beautiful books, but I don't think we've been taught about it, right?
Like they will know an Emily Dickinson probably. But
or that Daffodils poem.
This is stuck in everyone's mind. But I think there's nothing wrong with that, but we don't get a holistic, you don't see the world in totality. You just see a certain aspect. You know, learn about, say, South American or African culture. It's very Eurocentric. I think that has been a mistake. I think most of us who, even way back when in the 90s or when we were children, we would always travel to Europe. Nobody would say, oh, let's go to some, a weird unheard of country where today we do that or have the ability to do that because of, say, social media exposure. We have had those few decades to learn about these different cultures and places, and we all have a bucket list of sorts. Today, if you ask anybody what are the countries you want to visit, probably somewhere in Africa or somewhere in East Asia or in South America. But if you asked us this question maybe 20-25 years ago, when we were children, people wanted to go to, say, London or Paris or New York or Rome.
I would name the entire continent. I would just be like Europe. That's it. I didn't even know.
And then I think all of us, most of us, I feel, visited those places before we turned 20. So then Switzerland, we had that exposure. So you base your perception of art on what you see. And when I visit different cities, even in India, say it's Chennai or Calcutta or Bangalore, I always visit the local museums where you get a semblance of Indian culture.
Sorry, I want to interrupt you, Samir, but when you spoke about Calcutta and you spoke about visiting, I know that there's an entire highlight where you have focused on the cemeteries. I've stopped you.
He's obsessed with
them. But there's such gorgeous images.
It's stunning. It's a reminder of history of the people who came here. And when you go there, you're transported to a world from the 1700s. How often do you get to do that? Because that cemetery, it was exhausted after a point, so it's stuck in time. It is a time machine of sorts. And whoever goes to Calcutta, I tell them, please go to the cemetery. I went with a friend when we were there, and I didn't tell him we are going to a cemetery. I just said we are going somewhere. He kept asking where. I said it's a surprise. But then that's how it is. Sometimes if you tell people you're going to a cemetery, they're not very fond of it. But why not? And I remember I had visited the Père Lachaise cemetery in Paris.
Oh, he took you?
No.
Oh.
But
you took him?
That's one place I wouldn't go with him.
It's absolutely stunning.
Is that where Jim Morrison's?
I think so. It's got Oscar Wilde, it's got Edith Piaf,
I've been there.
Oppenheimer, like many people. But
I feel it's a place of sadness. I don't know why you'd feel.
No, it's just. See, I think if you remember a person for the last day, and you negate what came before, that you should not remember a person for their death rather than for their life. And that's what happens when you go, like the Oscar Wilde mausoleum or the tombstone. Women from across the world have come and they've kissed it. So you see lipstick marks across it. So that's an expression of love, appreciation, joy. You go to Edith Piaf's tomb, there'll be like flowers, fresh flowers every day that fans from across the world are placing over there. And I think that's that person gets to live on. Even there's even Eugene Delacroix's tomb is over there. These are people that you didn't have the opportunity to meet in life, but maybe you can see them in death. But that's why
the movie Midnight in Paris.
Midnight in Paris also had.
I want to be in that.
I love that movie.
I want to go back.
It's
in
so
time.
mainstream, but it's so beautifully made.
That was the whole point of the movie.
Owen Wilson, right? I think.
Owen Wilson.
Yes.
That the point of the movie was you should not give in to nostalgia, because everyone is nostalgic for a different time. They are nostalgic for a different era. Those people are nostalgic for a different era.
Oh yeah.
People always keep looking to the past, and I feel it's fine to visit it momentarily, but come back to reality. And that's I think that's key. And everyone should visit the South Park Street Cemetery in Calcutta. It's absolutely stunning.
I'm going to share your images only. Now.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember there was a cathedral of skulls, or what was it, or something?
In Milan.
Yes.
I don't remember the name now, but Ale Rosa, I think. It's in Milan, and the entire cathedral is made out of human bones and skulls. Wow. Absolutely brilliant. I went there in the morning before my flight.
She does not agree at all. She's sighing. She's like, but at least she's not smiling at you.
Because I know what she's thinking, even though if I'm not looking in this direction. But it was again recommended to me by somebody who I was having a conversation with. I was talking about my interests, my likes, and then he said that you must visit this.
I think that's beauty in death is what you're trying to do.
There's beauty in death. Like you can't always look at everything from a macabre point of view. There is something that you can appreciate without thinking you want to live in this space.
Yeah.
A lot of people can go to Versailles and appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah.
And not want to live there even for like 15 minutes.
And also I feel like after a certain point of time in our evolution or wherever, like maybe post the 90s, we didn't really have another great art movement, or it kind of fell flat, right? There was no great war, or there was nothing. And all of these cemeteries and graves and the names that you took, they come from an era which had a lot of distress, that had a lot of suffering, that had a lot of art, beauty, creation that we keep replicating even now. Like we're not creating something new, we're just deriving. So maybe that itself has so much nostalgia in it. So maybe that's a very beautiful emotion to have.
A lot of people, your work, you either are inspired sometimes by yourself also. You reference what you have done, and then you reference things that you experience, and there are a lot of things that happen through epiphany. I think it happens with most architects and designers. You're on site and then you change things.
Everything changes. For me, if I give a 3D to reality, it changes.
Changes.
Like nothing matches. I think it's for the better.
Most people don't fixate on that one image that they have in the beginning.
I feel.
Yeah, you can't have that reel which says what I designed and what I've made and matching.
It's never the same, because I feel it's always for the better. Change
the same thing when
always.
I'm hanging art in a house. When over a period of a year you buy dozens of pieces of art, and when you're actually hanging it, you start with a particular work, then you add to that, then you add to that, then you go to a different room or different space. And that's the beauty of it. You don't buy something for a specific wall or a specific corner. You buy anything for what it is, the joy that it brings, or the story or the history that it has. I've got many pieces at home that I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I just want to acquire them for what they are.
I have it in my garage.
Yeah.
I need to see this garage.
You'll get a shock of your life.
Okay guys, so now we're going to play a game. You have your boards with you.
What do we win first?
You win a hamper, fancy hamper curated by Moñö and our brands. Quebec Kitchen Studio in Turquoise. So on these white boards on which you've already written your names, in case I don't realize who you all are, I'm going to ask you all a question and you'll have to write the answer on the board, okay? And show it to me. The one who gets the answer right gets a point. The one who gets it wrong has to have our shots. And at the end of the game, the one who wins gets a hamper. Okay?
How many questions? No,
Yeah, 10 questions. 10 questions. Yeah,
Yeah.
10 questions. Okay. Which artist painted the potato eaters?
Yeah, I want options.
Okay. Monet, Picasso, Matisse, or Van Gogh?
I don't know this one.
Guess. You can put a guess in case you get it right.
Maybe. I don't know.
Nice, Samir got it right.
What is it?
Van
Who's
Gogh.
it? Really?
Yeah. But at least you didn't guess an impressionist. I'm happy. At least you didn't choose
Yeah,
Monet
so
or
much,
Matisse.
so I know.
Question number 2. Guys, you'll have to be quicker, okay?
Okay.
The golden ratio is approximately what number? 1.414, 1.618 to 0.618.
I've read this in Dan Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got it right.
What the
as
hell?
well. 1.618. Wow, he's killing it. Listen, you have to
Wow,
catch up.
yeah.
Huh? It's 2-0 up.
I'm really bad with this, but I know I've read about this in that book.
You have to have it completely. Yeah.
Which museum is famous for its collection of modern art? The Louvre, Tate, MoMA, Uzi. You showed him the answer.
Technically, even
Yeah, technically.
Tate
it's
also has.
Yeah, but this
Yeah.
is right. This was a little.
I mean, this has
Listen, I was
modern art
first.
in it.
I get
Yeah.
this point.
Chalo, we'll give you half a point, okay? Half a point. Question number 4, okay? How many inches in 11 feet?
You're calculating.
Listen, you can't get this wrong. Pressure on you. Oh yeah, that's correct.
132.
Correct. Both
Sure?
of us got it right. He doesn't trust. She didn't want to show it because she's done the math.
Yeah, you're right.
Both of us did it.
Both of you did.
Listen,
Okay.
everyone uses calculators now.
No, but yeah.
What is a term for art that is created to be temporary or ephemeral? Installation, performance, conceptual, transient.
Sorry, it's small.
Yeah, that's correct. Transient. The
I
score
think-
is
She used to catch up on 2 more shots.
0.5. The
Not
Eames chair is an
Yeah.
example of Gothic, mid-century, Art Deco, Victorian. Mid-century modern. Yeah, nice.
Please don't judge my handwriting.
Judged. How many? We are on the 7th question. Listen, you need to get all 3 right now. Which of these upholstery fabrics is known for its luxurious feel? Linen, velvet, cotton, polyester. Yeah. Since she,
I turned it around first. I was first. And I'm following your rules. So I win the
fine.
point.
That's not cool. That's just one letter, first of all.
I was
yeah.
smart.
No, it
I
doesn't
was smart
matter.
and fast.
what is the double of A4? No. Correct. She got it.
What? She went.
No. Not bad.
In which city can you find the famous Guggenheim Museum designed by FLW? Frank Lloyd Wright. Obviously, you know that.
Hey. Wait, I'm not.
No, the FLW one. The Roaring Twenties influenced which interior design style? Wow.
Is it Art Deco?
You lost.
No. Okay.
You've lost. What did I do?
Right.
Art Deco only.
Correct. That's right. ठीक है. So,
Yeah, so
I
I
think we
wrote
have it was competitive. It was a really not very
It was
close.
competitive.
I got 5 things.
Chalo,
right.
anyway.
Okay, I got
हाँ.
one thing wrong. Let's
No,
see.
but other things also I got right.
Okay, so we have a winner. Samir has won this game. Well done. Well done. Amazing. Okay, so this is a specially curated hamper by our brands for you, Samir.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you. You can open it if you want. It's quite cool. Coming back to our conversation, guys, you talk about decluttering and then recluttering your space when you're styling it, and a lot of your projects have sculptures, artwork, murals, paintings, which is a lot of maximalist elements that come into your space. And even though y'all are using so many items at some given point of time, they're well curated, they're balanced. So, and there's a fine line between declutter and clutter, like Samir said, or your project. So, how do you all achieve this?
Never been a huge fan of minimalism, honestly. For me, any space should be a reflection of the people who are staying in the house. So suppose if I'm doing a house, say for you, and if I know the way you live, what are your likings, I would love to have that reflected, in the house. Then you feel you're entering your home. Is what he explained also when he enters my house, and it's a perfect explanation of what I am. And I think everyone ought to do that. And I think as designers, we are creators of where we have this opportunity to create a space for somebody and who loves coming home to that space, no matter where you are. Either you're traveling or you're coming back from,
basically making it home for each person who's living in that space.
And I believe that everyone has a personality. Even your house should have that sort of a personality which shouts out that, hey, it's your space. That's what gives it that uniqueness and that individualism. Totally, my design resonates with that. It's not about, something of style or, it has to be this particular thing. I think for me, I want something that'll, even in 10 years, you feel it's not old, it's still standing still. It's obviously moving a bit with time, but it's still you, right? So I think for me, it's more that if you love plants, let's have them. If you love art, let's have them. If you love colors, I'll give you colors. I mean,
and
obviously,
then curating it is also very,
so obviously my touch will come into that, but I think that is something for me to know when I'm doing something, say for a client, is what I want to know, the psyche of a person, and then I will walk into the space with that person.
That's amazing. That's nice.
I think it's similar with me. I am a maximalist at heart, and I strongly believe that less is more and more is more.
Yeah.
But having said that, I'm not anti-minimalism. I'm probably pro-restraint. There's a big difference where the lives that we live, we have so much exposure to so many things and people and places and moments. It's a good way to reference that in your homes as well, through the art that you collect and through the things that you acquire over the years, the memories and moments and
those
stories,
tiny know-hows,
and histories, everything. And you just have to figure out how to build on that and make it look cohesive. It can't be clutter. There's a big, you can't associate, a lot of people associate maximalism with clutter. That's not the case.
It's not. And it reflects in your work, your experiences that you've had. Like when I look at your projects, Sonam, and the experiences that you've had and you've spoken about, they are evident in your work. Like you are basically kind of relating everything to a certain culture or a certain reference of that. And the same goes for you, right? It's not just that, I need to put an art, so let's just get a Monet and put it. Correct. Or, so that's something that is very rare, and it's very wonderful to see in your work.
When you're completing the house also, like everybody will say, either get a photo shoot done or something, but I feel like you can't complete a house on a particular date, Okay, it's livable. But honestly, when the items come in, articles come in, pieces, small items, it takes time for that house to mold into a home.
To allow the house to breathe as well, to live.
Correct.
Like a lot of people, when they photograph spaces,
Shapes
the house itself hasn't lived.
It's too crisp.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it that. You can still have a house that is
like a hotel room, maybe,
You need a house to live and breathe and grow and evolve.
Make it you,
That's a really new perspective. I've never looked at it that way.
Otherwise, then it's just a site and it's a space that's been completed. It's not. What is the
identity is not there.
What is the identity of the space? What is it trying to say?
Yeah.
And I feel that through maximalism or even through minimalism, this is a new word that I've learned, which is a
mix of both.
Mix of both. Yeah. Where it's restraint as well as some like a drama.
Mid-century modern.
Where you do get an essence of a home. You don't necessarily need to see the person to know who lives here. With most or with a large number of houses that you see nowadays, you can't really tell who the owner is or what their interests are. You can probably tell who the architect is or what their aesthetic or design sense is. But there is a lack of, like, there's no bridge between the
person
the
actually
person living
in the
and in the home.
The warmth, basically.
Yeah.
The warmth.
So for me, style is equal to people. Like,
Yeah, because
you know,
when I'm looking at your work, right, even like everything just feels like it's not been placed there for the photograph.
Take of
It feels like it's there, and some like what you said, like it looks like it's been lived in, and the person who's staying there has kind of curated it over time, and then you've documented, which is rare. Again, so that's a lovely approach. I never had this insight before. That's interesting.
Even in both our homes, we have got
yeah.
a lot of art which we have bought over several years.
Yeah.
It's not purchased with a timeline.
And there's a story to everything.
There's a story to everything.
Like, you know, I remember one of my friend coming home, Chirag, and then he goes like, you know what, I've seen so many houses, all friends. But he's like, the tour that you gave me of your house, it's not a big house, it's really a small space. It's like every item you spoke about, everything that you spoke about had some story to it. And that was more fascinating than, you know, actually seeing just a beautiful house, I think.
What do you describe when you enter a space?
Yeah.
Is it the four walls or what inhabits those four walls? And I think that is more important to populate a home with items and pieces rather than just placing things.
That's lovely. That's a proper quote. Bappi Larry.
Please.
No.
My God. That's a different maximalism.
And I got scared. I was like, why is he?
No.
Oh man, okay. This is never going to get old. Okay. Thank you guys. That was lovely. I want to talk about your stamp collection. Again, I found it on your social media, and there's so much of it.
So much is an
Yeah,
understatement.
Yeah. 50. Anyway, so, I mean, I know that some individuals do it as a collection, right? But there must be a story behind it, some inspiration that maybe you derived from it.
If you're collecting anything, no matter what it is, you have to be really passionate about that item that you're collecting.
Yeah.
It can absolutely be anything. People even collect rocks from around the world.
Seashells.
Seashells. But it's a passion that you can't really sometimes word or describe unless you meet somebody else who does that. And for me, collecting stamps or philately started when I was in school. It was about travel and it just takes you to a different world. Each of these postage stamps have a story to tell. It's a mini piece of art if you notice them. And in COVID, during the lockdown, I had all this free time and I was stuck at home alone. And I took this opportunity to rediscover my childhood passion of stamp collecting. And every day for 50 days, because of a round number OCD, I wanted to stick to a number. I would post pictures of my collection. And that gave me something to do every single day when there was nothing much to do, honestly. But living through those memories and moments that you've collected something when you were 9 or like 12 or 15 when you're traveling, it brings back so many
So nostalgic.
cherished moments and it's so nostalgic. And honestly, sometimes it's difficult to give into that nostalgia, but it is beautiful to view it once in a while.
Yeah.
But since that, I think it's been 5 years since lockdown, I have grown my collection by, I think, more than 3,000 or 4,000 stamps. And it's always few people, they give them their father's collection or their own collection that they no longer
I'll give
cherish.
you Neha's collection. His eyes are on that only.
So what they tell, like the people who give me their collections, they always mention that you will cherish it more than we do. And that's what I do. And whenever my friends are traveling abroad, they always bring back stamps. They ask, what do you want? I said, please, I know it's very painful,
Go to
the post office and get a few stamps. I don't want anything else. It's very easy to carry, but it's very difficult to get. But I cherish those things. When I look at
how you source them from a post office. You go to a post office.
you actually go to a post office when you're traveling.
Okay, to wherever you're traveling.
Wherever you're traveling, they have like a GPO, like a general post office or smaller post offices, and you ask them for stamps because people still send letters. Honestly,
I send him postcards. Whenever I travel.
That's cute.
So she sent from Vietnam.
It comes after I come back. I mean,
it takes a while. But they do that. So my friends have got me stamps from, say, Malaysia, Australia, Tanzania, France, Australia, so many different countries. and it's just a joy. It's an absolute joy.
Do you have anything that you...
I just read a lot. That's all.
Yeah, you can talk about your books.
Yeah, I read a lot.
I saw your stories as well. Like the post that you had put, 600 books or something like that, I remember.
Yeah, 34.
34 books.
But you must have over the years.
yeah, for sure.
Sonam reads like on the Kindle and actual
books, and I prefer to keep it at 3 books. So one philosophical and one fictional. I usually don't do non-fiction.
One murder mystery.
Yeah. But yeah, there's something for me to, like after a long day, you need something that I think takes you back somewhere. And I
Poirot
like that
also.
feeling. Poirot, Agatha Christie. I mean, those are something that I want to go back. I think I wanted to always, Downton Abbey is something where I can like transfer myself into.
And I think reading is such a beautiful habit to have. People have lost touch with it. My dad was a voracious reader. When I was in college, he introduced me to... So I was reading like we discussed, like the Aragons and the Harry Potters and Lord of the Rings or whatever.
Yes.
And then he gave me Fountainhead.
I was just going to say Fountainhead
And
is
I was
one
like,
of
I'm
my
not reading
favorite
this,
books.
it was like so tiny that
It's a beautiful book.
And then a year later, I
What a
read it and I was
personality.
like, I'm going to be like Howard Rock. And I did not. I could not. But I mean, it changes your perspective on life. That's a very beautiful habit to have. Okay guys, so now we're going to play a rapid fire and I'm going to start with Samir since he was the winner of the last round. And our audiences are going to decide the winner, okay?
Sure.
And then you all get a hamper. Okay, so Samir, are you ready?
Sure.
If your career were an Art Deco building, what would its entrance hall look like?
Oh, I think it would have iconography, Art Deco iconography of, say, Roman or Greek gods.
Wow.
In gold, polished
Like a
gold.
gilded. Sort of
where you see, say, Poseidon in a very nautical form, or Athena, and I think just the drama of having Mount Olympus over there in the lobby.
That's beautiful.
That would be extremely dramatic.
with green curtains.
Velvet.
Yeah, the velvet green.
Velvet.
They have to be there.
Yeah.
I mean,
They have.
One piece of advice you have received that you can never forget.
Before you learn what to do, it's better to understand what not to do.
If you could have a conversation with the master of the Renaissance period, what would you ask them?
How would you paint without anyone
Posing.
judging you?
Posing.
Because a lot of the art was created or was commissioned by the church, or they had a lot of restrictions.
And it was completely judgment based.
It was completely judgment based.
That's beautiful.
Because that's what happened with the Impressionists and the Modernists. They gave up on all sorts of societal judgment and they created something that was their vision and what they wanted to create. But I would ask how
would you do it
how would you do it? What would your perception be without any outside influence?
Lovely.
Or approval.
Without the rules, basically.
True.
Okay. Favorite part of the design process?
I would say the sourcing. Because when you're sourcing pieces for a space, you're not only looking at that one object that you are going to acquire in the end, you're looking at 50 things. And that's even more enigmatic and challenging at the same time, where you get to see so much at one go, but then choosing that one piece for the house.
Making sure, what works.
So the contrast is when you have those 50 things at home versus the 500 things that you see on the way. They're two completely different emotions.
Lovely. Okay. If every design era had a personality, who would Bauhaus be at a dinner party? And who among the styles of the world would you choose to sit beside?
I guess a Bauhaus personality would be somebody a bit more Germanic. That means a bit more restrained and proper, while having a very clean or sharp sense of taste and design. And if I had to sit next to somebody from a specific movement, I would probably say the Art Nouveau or the Belle Epoque movement, where it was very nature inspired, very fluid and wild.
Yeah, lovely. I love Art Nouveau. Okay, anyway, that's a lovely answer. I challenge gravity with a floating dome My creations feel like an ancient home. Brick and stone are my trusted tools, but the space I shape is far from old school. A classical touch in the modern day, I design with elegance and precision in play. Who am I with curves that define a master of beauty, grace and line?
Somebody has built domes. Is it Da Vinci?
Close, very close. He's one of the 5 Ninja Turtles.
Michelangelo.
Yeah. If you were stripped of all your possessions and titles, who would you be?
That would still be me.
That's lovely. Okay, we're done, Sam. That was Samir. That was lovely
nice.
answers.
Thank you.
Very romanticized. What's one thing you think about when you hear the word success?
Hard work.
Nice. If you had to design a space for someone who had lost their way in life, what would you give them? What colors, what textures, what light?
I think I would probably, I mean, I wouldn't design particularly anything for them. First, I would make them watch movies, read a book, figure them out, go all counselor shit on that person, and then get that thing what they really love.
Which movie would you make them watch?
I mean, I would definitely make them watch a movie. The movie, Amelie.
If you had to pick a song to represent your design style, what would it be?
I mean, I would think of Linkin Park. I've become so numb because it has my name in it.
So I become, oh my god, okay. If you were stripped of all your possessions and titles, who would you be?
Can't steal my answer.
I was just gonna say that would be me.
I'm glad I went for
I would be my son.
You'd be your son.
My son.
Okay. Yourself or your son?
My son.
Oh, your son. Okay. With steel and glass, I made my mark. Designs that light up cities after dark. Simplicity and elegance I adore, turning spaces into something more. I believe less is truly best, with open rooms for life's zest. Who am I, shaping cities with care, a minimalist beyond compare?
Tadao and Do. I mean, I know of him, but obviously I didn't think of him.
Yeah. What does the essence of your work leave behind, even if it no longer exists physically?
I think it's the experience of having me around.
Okay, lovely. One thing aspiring designers need to do or learn that no one talks about.
Conversations.
Nice. Okay, thank you. We're done. Those were lovely answers, guys. Thank you so much. Okay, so now our audiences, please decide who has won.
Samir, you can win. It's fine.
What do you mean can win?
Let's just give it to Samir.
I did win. I did.
Chalo, de do inko.
On merit.
De do. Well done, Samir. So, brand partner Turquoise would like to hand a gift hamper to you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well done.
You're sharing this with me.
It's going to go and come in your car.
Okay, so that was a lovely conversation, guys.
Thank you so much.
I'm so glad to have had you all here and had this beautifully insightful conversation. Before we go, I would like to address our audiences. Just give them a piece of advice or just a quote or anything that you like.
Okay. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, we did. It's been a great insight, and also meeting you, Karan, because I've only spoken to you on the phone or voice notes. It was great to have a conversation with you. Also, for everyone who's watching, I think live for experiences. That's what I would say. And I think life would be beautiful then.
That's lovely. Thank you so much.
Never lose your childlike enthusiasm and your curiosity while experiencing the world through other people's eyes as well.
That's lovely. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for watching Season 3, Episode 2 of Moñö Architecture, All Things Design, brought to you by our brand partners Turquoise, Highbeck and Kitchen Studio. Stay tuned for Episode 3. This was the greatest game ever.
From where did you find this music? The music itself is killer. Tum to meri jaan ho, tum to meri jaan ho.